Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. It is the European Championship round of 16 stage. It is almost upon us. We are on the eve of the knockout stages for the tournament currently taking place in Germany to begin. Euro 2024 so far has been excellent in my opinion. It has thrown up some shocks. It's thrown up some exciting and entertaining performances. Some incredible games, brilliant moments, top quality goals, some fantastic individual performances. And on the flip side of that, you know, England have been there as well. But the round of 16 stage is obviously where the competition only continues to heat up more. We're entering into officially the knockout stages, and we've got some very mouth-watering ties for us to sink our teeth into and to feast our eyes upon over the coming days or so. Two games a day is back, people. We're going to be very excited for that in particular. Before we get into talking about the games that are coming up in the knockout stages and obviously giving my predictions on how I think the games will go, would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section. Use and abuse that comment section, people. Let me know what you guys thinking and feeling. Your thoughts, your comments, opinions. But most of all, of course, your predictions will make for great and interesting reading down below. So please do get involved. But without further ado, let's get on with the predictions. And first and foremost, we have got... what a way to kick things off. What a way to kick things off. We've got Switzerland against Italy. Switzerland, of course, qualified in Group A. Wasn't a bad run for the Swiss, actually. They actually performed very, very well. A little bit unfortunate, maybe, not to have got the win over Germany, which would have seen them top the group. Obviously, the Germans equalised very late on in that game. And now they are facing Italy, the Group B winners, who are mere seconds away from not being runners-up. If, obviously, their last kick of the game didn't go in, which it ultimately did against Croatia, which ultimately fully saved their European Championship campaign. Brilliant result for the Italians there. It was a tough group to get out of, all things considered, but the Italians once again show that they will find a way. If you don't punish them, they will find a way to get the job done. And that's exactly what they did in that game. In regards to this game, I honestly can't... I can honestly make a case for both of these sides to be advancing into the quarterfinals. I really, really could. And it was difficult to predict this one. I like some of the players on either side. I like some of the football that they play on either side. I was leaning more towards the Swiss at one point, but as I mentioned earlier, the Italians just seem to find a way of winning. And that's why I think this will go to the Italians. That's why I think the Italians will advance here, because I think this will probably go all the way through to extra time. But I can see the Italians winning. The Swiss have been very good. The Swiss have been playing some good football, scoring some decent goals. But I just think the Italians, some way, somehow, are going to get the job done. I could be completely wrong on that, and I will hold my hands up and say that, because this is probably one of the more difficult games to call, and this is the whole thing that's starting off the round of 16. So I'm very excited to watch this one. And I'm very intrigued as to how this one will go. But I've gone with the Italians to win, but only just going through the length of extra time. Next up, the hosts, Germany, will take on Denmark. And I've gone with a 2-1 win in favour of the Germans. Now, Denmark will be no pushovers. They've proven themselves to be no real pushovers. Obviously qualified in England's group, of course. Second, gave England a run for their money. I just don't necessarily see the Danes having much firepower up front that they're going to overcome the Germans. I think the Germans will have more. I think the Germans will have more strength and depth as well. And I think ultimately that is what will win this game for the Germans, as well as, of course, the entire home advantage of being the host nation for the tournament. It'll still be a great game to watch. I have no doubts about that, and I think this could be a big statement win for Germany if they were to do that. Obviously, a lot was made about the Germans coming into this competition. Obviously, they've had previous failings at the last couple of major tournaments on an international stage. And of course, with this being the host nation, there was obviously a lot more weight of expectation on the shoulders of those German players, and of course the new German manager, Julian Nagelsmann. So a lot riding on the Germans there to obviously produce from the weight of expectation, but I see them making it through to the quarterfinals at the expense of the Danes, and I think they will do that using their incredible strength in depth. Next up, England against Slovakia. Arguably the most disappointing team at this Euros so far, England. With all the potential, with all the talent, with all the quality available to Gareth Southgate, he continues to tighten the shackles on those players. Rather than let them go out and play as free as a bird, he shackles them to playing on the edge of their own penalty area and defending so deep they may as well be back home in England. They're going against a Slovakia side who are going to make life extremely difficult for Gareth Southgate's men. Not in terms of... what's the best way to put this? Not going to be difficult in terms of maybe winning. England should be winning this game comfortably. England should be winning this game full stop. England should be putting on a good performance here. But they're going to make life very difficult for England. They're going to be physical. They're going to be trying to obviously play for set pieces. They're going to try and time waste. They're going to try and drag England to play their game rather than what England want to do. Which actually, if it's Gareth Southgate's way of playing it, will probably be the Slovakia way of playing, and that will play into Slovakia's hands. But let's just say for a second he decides to release the handbrake, so to speak. Slovakia will make life as difficult as they can. Now, I've gone with England to win because, similar to Germany, their strength and depth should be far superior. And whether it goes to extra time or not, England should still be winning this game. And that's why I see them going through to the quarterfinals at the expense of Slovakia. But guess what? If Slovakia were to upset the odds here, if Slovakia were to get a win in this game and advance, whether it be through 90 minutes, 120 minutes of added on time, and of course maybe even a dreaded penalty shootout, I genuinely would not be surprised. I genuinely would not be surprised if that was to happen. So I think Slovakia will stink the place up and try and thwart England every opportunity. I think England will help them in stinking the place up and be just as poor as they have been throughout the tournament so far. But I think the difference on the day will be England's strength and depth. And I think eventually that strength and depth and that individual talent and quality will shine through on this day, and England will get the win that will see them into the final 8 of the competition. Next up, Spain against Georgia. Georgia being one of the surprise stories and brilliant stories of this Euros. Their victory against Portugal in the final group stage game to secure their place in the knockout stages was nothing short of phenomenal. Georgia deserved that 2-0 win they produced over Portugal. It was incredible, it was fantastic, and it raised some beautiful scenes at the end. That was just wonderful to watch. Absolutely wonderful to watch. And their reward for gaining entry into the knockout stages is a round of 16 tie with Spain. Spain, one of the form teams right now, you'd have to say. 3 wins out of 3. No goals conceded so far in the tournament. Spain are looking pretty good right now, and I know a lot of people will say, well, they only won 1-0 in their final group stage game against Albania. It was a very heavily rotated Spanish side. So the Spanish are going into this game pretty fresh, for the most part, with some of their players. That could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It could be a bit of a loss of momentum for some of those players, having obviously played a couple of games prior with only a few days rest and whatnot. But let's be honest, as fantastic as the Georgian story has been in this competition, to get here, to obviously play it out, get their first point on the board in a major international game, and then obviously to go on and qualify for the knockout stages. As much as I want to see it continue, I unfortunately have to say that I think it does end here. I think Spain will have too much for the Georgians, but their only consolation being that I think they will break the record that Spain are going for right now, which is obviously not conceding any goal. I think Georgia will probably get maybe an early goal to maybe shock some people and maybe have a bit of a storyline developing, but then as soon as Spain get into their rhythm and find their groove, I think the Spaniards will put Georgia to the sword. Hey, if Georgia are to produce another performance like they did against Portugal the other night, then I'm all for the drama that's going to unfold when these two teams clash. But as it is, I don't necessarily think that will happen. I don't think lightning will strike twice in the same place again. And unfortunately for Georgia, I think their Euro 2024 story ends with a defeat to the Spaniards. Next up, France are taking on Belgium. Interesting one, this one. Between two very underwhelming teams right now. You've got the French, who are yet to score a goal from open play in this competition. They won their first game via an own goal. They drew 0-0 against the Netherlands. And then in the game against Poland, the final group stage game against an already eliminated Poland, Kylian Mbappe may have broke his European Championship duck by obviously scoring finally in a European tournament, but it was from the penalty spot. The French have been very underwhelming. They come up against the Belgium side, who have been very frustrating. Apart from maybe Kevin De Bruyne, they've just not been at the races whatsoever, and only scraped through qualifying to the knockout stages through a tough group, which saw all four teams finish on 4 points. And obviously through the head-to-head kind of system and other kind of things that also go into that, and goal difference and all that kind of stuff. That was the reason why the Belgians are qualified. Romelu Lukaku still searches for his first goal in the European tournament. That is onside. The Belgian striker has scored 3 goals so far in this tournament that have all been chalked off for being offside. Some 1 or 2 by the smallest of margins. But this one should be very interesting. Hopefully. The hope is that, well, for the French at least, the hope is that their superstars finally click into gear. It says a lot that this French side are very good going forward, but the only player you can really write home about is one N'Golo Kante, who is aging like a fine wine. The guy just does not stop running. It's absolutely unbelievable the mileage that guy is producing at his age. But yes, the French should be winning this one. It could be a bit of a banana skin for them if they take this lightly. If the Belgians turn up, if Lukaku's just having one of them days where maybe everything he touches turns to gold. If Kevin De Bruyne is allowed the space and time to pick his passes and to obviously create and pull the strings in midfield, then of course Belgium will have every chance in the world of knocking out one of the tournament favourites, and I think a lot of teams will obviously be praying for that. But I just don't see it happening. I think this will be the game where it sort of clicks into gear. I don't think it'll be perfect for France by any stretch of the imagination, but Belgium haven't been great, and like I say, in a group in which they should have topped it in a group where they should have beaten the likes of Romania, Slovakia, Ukraine. I just don't see it happening for the Belgians here. I think this is all on the French to get the job done, and that's where I see the result lying. I think the French will make it into the quarterfinals. Next up, Portugal against Slovenia, and I go with a Portugal win. This should be rather straightforward for the Portuguese. I'm expecting Portugal to get the job done, and this could actually be an opportunity. It's a very good draw for the Portuguese to pick up in this stage of the competition. Slovenia, obviously we're in England's group. We know a lot about them from the tournament progressing and everything. We know that obviously Benjamin Sesko is still looking for his first goal of this tournament. The Portuguese look very good in qualifying. Their first game was just about them winning it. Their second game was a very good performance. Their third game was a little bit of rotation, and it would be quite concerning that they didn't at least put up much of a fight against Georgia. But I think it's one of them things where they can easily click it back into gear. I think they can click it back into gear, and I think they've got a very good opportunity of doing that against Slovenia. Cristiano Ronaldo also is yet to score in this tournament. Maybe this would be the perfect opportunity for him to open his goal-scoring account for the tournament as well. I think it's a very good opportunity for Portugal to get a few goals. I think it's also a very good opportunity for Portugal to lay down a statement ahead of obviously maybe advancing to the quarterfinals. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that Slovenia will be pushovers. By any stretch of the imagination, Portugal should know that this could easily be a banana skin for them, similarly to obviously what Georgia was a few short days ago. So there is a lot there for Portugal to digest, refocus and look back on. But I still think the Portuguese should be winning this one, and they will make it through. I think they've got one of the more favourable games, I should say, of the round of 16 to predict. But as we know, things aren't always what they seem. Things aren't always as predictable. We shall wait and see what happens, but my prediction is that Portugal will be the ones advancing to the final 8 from this game. Our penultimate game, I believe, is Romania against the Netherlands. Romania will fancy their chances on this one. The Netherlands, for as many recognisable and good players that they have, even good players defensively, they are still vulnerable defensively. They may have the likes of Van der Ven and Van Dijk and De Ligt and one or two other big names in the defensive side of things. They look vulnerable at times, and I think Romania will fancy their chances. I still think the strength and depth, and I think the form of Cody Gakpo in particular, will be enough for the Dutch to see them advance to the quarterfinals. And I think, you know, by hook or by crook, the Netherlands will get there, even if it takes a Wout Weghorst substitution appearance and ultimately a seemingly inevitable goal from him to obviously do it. I still think one way or another the Netherlands will get the job done, but at the same time, I think this could be a very intriguing game, and I don't think it's as easy to predict as what many people may seem like it may be. So I'm interested to see this one. I'm going with the Netherlands to win 2-1. I think their strength and depth, plus the forms of the likes of Cody Gakpo and so on, will see them across the finish line. And finally, Austria against Turkey. Austria are slowly but surely becoming one of the outsiders to gain recognition in this. Austria, I think, are slowly but surely making their way to being maybe a tournament favourite. And I think a big win here, and a big statement win against Turkey in particular, could be a massive boost for them in doing that. Played very well against France. Were a little bit unfortunate, unlucky not to get anything from that game. Bounced back with a win in their second group stage game. And then, of course, played out that 5-goal thriller against the Netherlands in the third group stage game. Look, are they perfect? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. But I think they've done a lot better than what a lot of people, maybe myself included, have actually given them credit for. There are vulnerabilities to Ralf Rangnick's Austria, but they have performed very, very well so far. They have done brilliantly well, and I think a lot of people are now starting to sit up and take notice of them. For Turkey, they got through their group. They got through with Portugal, of course, and Georgia. We know there's a decent side there. They scored a few cracking goals already in this competition. I'm just not so sure it is consistent enough. I'm not so sure it is strong enough. It is stable enough for them to withstand the pressure that this Austria side are going to throw at them. They have to make their chances count when they get them. They're going to have to take full advantage of the vulnerable moments that Austria will get in, or will give teams in games, as we have seen in the group stages. There have been moments against the Dutch, say, where there were moments where the Dutch, if they'd have played the right pass, if they'd have been a bit more clinical in front of goal, they could have actually properly hurt them a bit more than what they did. But I just think Austria are slowly moving through the gears, and I think they could see this as a big opportunity to go forward and to lay down a statement in this competition. To lay down a statement that they're not just there to make up the numbers, they're actually there to play. And I think a lot more people will, a lot of people are already sitting up and taking notice of Austria right now, but I think a few more people will actually start taking even more notice with a big win here, which is why I have gone for a 3-1 win to Austria. And if I am being honest, if I am to kind of predict how I think the game will go, I think that Turkey goal may be a bit of a consolation in like the final few minutes of the game, in all honesty. So I'm going with an Austria win there. I'm very much intrigued by this game. I think this one could be a bit of a game that goes under the radar a little bit, in all honesty. So I'm very much intrigued by this one. But look, those are just my thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all predictions on how I think the round of 16 stage will go for the European Championships of 2024 in Germany. I want to know what you guys think though. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions on how you think each and every single game will go in the European Championship round of 16 stage. Let me know down below. Use and abuse that comment section. People would love to hear from you all. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. And I'll see you speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, 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 very soon. And enjoy the Euros for however long it's lasting. See you again, guys. Take it easy.